Anyway,
Hello.
hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm okay. This is Tyler. If you've been following my YouTube channel, which I don't think anybody is, it's been 9 years or more. 9 years since the video, but at least 9 years since the last video we did. So this is a follow-up about his life, but also about my life. My life is open for exploration.
Fair enough. Born in the bucket, happy once again. Alright.
Okay. So yes. The last time we talked about, you talked about your childhood.
Okay.
You talked about being gay.
Mm-hmm.
And in a small town,
Yeah.
which we're in, a small town in Kansas, which is a pretty conservative place, I guess. Trump is currently president.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
10 years ago, was Barack Obama president?
I think so. Yeah.
So that's a big change.
Yeah.
From him to Trump, this is Trump's second term.
Not consecutive. Not consecutive.
But yeah, so you have a degree in theater,
Mm-hmm.
but you've never been able to work full time in theater.
Well, now I have.
Well, okay,
Since
yes,
yeah,
you did.
since
Yeah.
the video, definitely. I ran a theater for about 3 years. Part of that was during the pandemic, so I kind of got a few whammies at me. Having a theater administration job that is largely administration and less the artistic side, even though it's called an artistic director, there was more bureaucracy tied to it than I would have wanted.
So okay. So let's talk first about the hot damn mess
Okay.
at the theater.
Yeah. All right. So, I worked at the Columbia Theater in Wamego, Kansas, and I felt pretty optimistic about it initially. It was a place where I directed before, and kind of younger management was happening. The new guard was getting kind of set up, in a way. Or the new old guard was set up by the time I got there. And I thought, I had a good rapport with that group, and I think I did some really strong work while I was there. But it became a really toxic situation. The people I worked for, we didn't have the same value system, I don't think. When you are in a very, very, very conservative town, like we had Let's Go Brandon flags flying around in plain view of kids in their picture windows in front of across the street from schools. Trump flags hanging off of people's cars.
So when you were there, was Biden president?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it was Trump initially, and then Biden a little bit later. Because it was I think I went there in 2019, and I was fired 2022, if I remember right.
Okay.
It'll be about 3 years. Yeah. So, yeah, and then I ended up back at Target. But I felt overworked. I felt very gaslit about a lot of things, about how much I was working.
At the theater?
At the theater. And once again, I kind of fell into the same issues that I would have had as a gay black man in a small town. I was an enigma. People stared at me when I walked down the street just to get a cold soda from the gas station. And while it doesn't sound like that bad of a problem to have, but when people are just kind of making up a narrative about you, that you don't come from where they come from, therefore my expertise did not have any clout there after a while. Like, I think it was something that they really touted for a long time, that we have somebody with a master's degree and we have somebody that knows what they're doing and all that stuff. And then, so I was celebrated really, I think, quite a bit when I had a strong show, but I was shunned when I started having opinions. Anyway. But I felt gaslit, I felt oddly fish out of water, even though I grew up in a small town. And I honestly will say this, it feels like when you're black and you're in a small town, people never think you're actually from the small town. They think you came from someplace else. Clearly. You're black. You don't have family here. Clearly you must have came in from a city or whatever. At the very least, you're of African descent, so you don't have any real ties here. I feel like that's a very deep-seated ideal that people have, and they just don't even think about. Yeah, actually, I'm born and raised in Kansas. Actually, been here 44 years. And maybe the same soil that grew you can grow somebody like me.
I want to get to relationships, so...
Okay.
But, I guess first, talk a little about what happened at Target.
Okay. So I worked at Target off and on, like I said, from 2006 to 2025. So almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And worked my way all the way up from a team member to a team lead, but I was in style initially, in the clothing. Style consultant, that's what they called us. We were style consultants. If you ever looked at these people, you would not think that these were stylish people that needed to help anybody. I'll say it. But of course, with that kind of a jump, I got more responsibility, more money, and I thought it was worth it for a while. So but I felt overworked. It kind of felt awful, and it got to a point where I wasn't bringing my best self to work anymore. I was very, what's going to happen today? What kind of stupidity am I going to have to deal with today in order to get the job done that they want to see done? Even though they have the power to fix a lot of it, but they'd rather watch us all squirm. That's how I started to feel really just down about the whole situation. And one day it finally came to a head, and I finally lost it on a guest. But this particular day, it was negative 12 degrees outside, I'm pretty sure. And we had hardly anybody to man all of the stations that I had to watch over. Guest service, check lanes, self-checkout, and drive-up. So there's one person running all of the front end, all of the all those things out there, and nobody in drive up. So I had to go to drive up, and lady comes in 12-degree weather, negative 12-degree weather, to get. She needed a Blistex. One solitary Blistex. And upon seeing this, I kind of lost my mind, and I walked out there and I tossed it in her window and I said, okay, what's your number? And this turned into a whole fiasco. The woman couldn't be bothered to go, get a Blistex on her own. Like, she could have walked into any gas station and got it. Oh no, she didn't want to get out of her car, but she would rather invoke a whole machine of people and wait a couple of hours to get a Blistex. So it just seemed a little silly to me, and she had it in her to finally come inside and complain. She couldn't couldn't see herself to getting her own Blistex, but she could come in to complain, because that was far more interesting, I think. So after all of that, long story short, the human resources person fired me that day.
And it seemed somewhat political, right? Because it happened right after Trump is...
The timing of it was very strange, because it was January 20th was Inauguration Day. I remember watching it in the break room during a lunch or whatever, and I remember somebody who was also in my firing meeting laughing upon watching Elon Musk Sieg Heil the camera. He thought that was really funny. And I just kind of looked at him like, are you for real right now? And then the next day I have to come into work and I'm thinking, oh great, I get to deal with all these. We live in the middle of Kansas. I'm probably seeing tons of people daily that voted for Donald Trump. And that is a hard thing to swallow, like knowing that I'm having to run out to people's cars, like in whatever weather conditions I was in. You felt like a slave. Or whatever, But, yeah. Inauguration Day, the next day I was fired. The very next day, Target was in the news for getting rid of DEI, their diversity, equity, and inclusion.
So, I think in the first video, we talked some about because we live in a conservative place, why didn't you move? And so what about now? Now that you've gotten older, does it seem harder to move? I mean, do you feel more rooted here than before?
In the time that we did the interviews and we've known each other, I had the job as the artistic director. Directly after that, I took a chance and went to Colorado to see some friends. Mm-hmm. And there for a while, for about 4 years, I've had a good kind of back and forth there where I've gone a couple times a year. I haven't been yet this year, but I definitely went last year. It's been kind of my return to the motherland of sorts, because it's usually during the Pride month that I go during June.
Have you thought about moving permanently to Denver?
Yeah, I think about it. I'm afraid it's fear at this point probably keeping me from just doing it, because also in the time that you've known me, I think I tried to move to Texas. So in that time, I felt like what I learned from that debacle was don't overuse or don't overstay your welcome. Don't take advantage of something. Don't take it for granted that you're always going to have like your family on your side. and I'm afraid to exhaust my friendships in the same way because I don't. You don't. While you can always make new friends and whatnot, you don't always want to. There comes a point where you're like, you know what? I'm good. I don't want to be alone, but I don't want to exhaust all the positive people in my life with my problems.
I think it's really difficult to make friends. And people say it gets more difficult when you get older. But, yeah. I have, my kind of core group of friends now. Dane and friends.
Yeah.
And it was difficult to get that group of friends. I mean, like, I moved back here in, I guess, like 2020. So it seems like took a few years before I found, like, a group of people I connected with. So it was difficult.
But there's the older you get, I feel like the more you kind of want to hang out with the people that you knew when you were younger. Like, not necessarily high school, but seems like some of my college friends are kind of cropping back up in my memories and in my DMs. Like, they message me and they're like, hey, how have you been? Like, what, you're hearing that kind of stuff, like, back. And that's kind of nice. But, it's even at this age, I'm still like, hold on, you want to be friends with me? Now, what's this all going to entail? How late are we going to be out? You ask these questions now. Who's going to be there?
Since our last interview, I tried to move to Denver.
Yeah.
And that failed for me.
Mm-hmm. Tell me more about that, because when was that?
I guess it was like 2018.
Okay.
So I moved there my girlfriend at the time, we went out to Denver to visit and like think about moving there. And I took a test with a school for electricians, and like I passed the test, so like I joined that school. So the plan was to go out there to become an electrician, and I got a job. I thought I was getting a job as an electrician apprentice, but
Oh.
I went out there and the company really screwed me. So I guess I was naive to how you can be screwed by companies, because I worked as a lighting technician, and it was my understanding like that they were going to pay for me to go to electrician school, but they didn't. So yeah, I don't know, I guess I was saying we moved back and we lived with my parents for a year, and then actually,
Yeah. A lot can happen in a decade. An awful lot can happen.
A lot, yeah.
Do you feel like you've grown in a decade, or do you feel like there's still things that you're just like, what the fuck?
I was with my ex for like 7 years, so I guess most of that decade.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we went through a lot. We moved at least three times to Denver, and then to Lenexa, and then back to here. We lived with my parents for a year, and we got married. We were married for a couple years. So I feel like that was a lot. But But it's weird. It is now that it's done. It kind of feels like it never happened.
Sure.
So it kind of feels like I haven't changed because of it.
Okay.
Before, before that, I felt like I had a lot of trouble finding a relationship. I felt like forever alone. It's like a Reddit term. Or an incel.
Okay.
Also like a Reddit term. Are you familiar with that, incel?
I've heard that. I've heard people use that. Just completely galvanized, like completely just to yourself. And is that what that means?
It stands for involuntary celibate.
Okay.
So it means like somebody that will never get a woman.
That ain't true.
Or, I guess a man.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
No, I get it.
Wouldn't have to be a straight thing. But it's interesting. Things have changed in that community. I mean, it got like banned. It started on Reddit, and there was like a lot of subreddits for different types of incel things.
Mm-hmm.
Red pill and black pill, a lot of different types of pills.
What does that imply? What does that inform?
Well, that's I probably don't know the right definition. I think red pill was like how women suck. Like,
So you're involuntarily celibate, but you also hate women.
yeah, and black pill was like the science behind like that. So like that attraction is based on biology, that is based mainly on looks. Like you need to be like tall and muscular and have good facial features.
White.
And then
Yeah.
yeah.
And random thing that I always found interesting. When I worked at the theater, I was trying to figure out some children's theater stuff to try to delve into during the pandemic. So I read Dr. Dolittle, like one of the Dr. Dolittle stories. And within this Dr. Dolittle story, there was a chapter or two that encased a story where Dr. Dolittle took a band of animals to Africa. During that time, he bumps into an African prince who, I guess because he speaks to animals, Dr. Dolittle, then he must be some kind of sorcerer or something, whatever, might be able to turn this poor man white if he wanted him to. So, yeah, the African prince wants Dr. Dolittle to turn him white so that he can finally marry a beautiful woman.
Okay.
And I read it and I was just like, what?
Mm.
We're skipping that chapter. I don't need to talk about that shit.
I don't think there was a question.
We were talking about...
I was talking about being an incel.
Yeah.
But
So it was the reason I talked about that was because of the weird, like, I don't fit in, therefore, but it was turned inward that in that story. It was a lot more something's wrong with me, not something's wrong with them. You know, I don't know what that informs, but I just, for some reason, the two kind of
I feel
walk hand in hand.
it's both.
Yeah,
I feel
two
like
things can be
there's-
true at the same time. It's you,
It's me and that.
and bitches don't like you.
Yeah.
And they don't like you for a reason.
And to be a true incel,
Uh-huh.
you need to like have never had sex and never, really never find a woman. And since I was in a relationship, I did have sex,
You're no longer an incel.
Yes, but I still feel that I am.
You identify, yeah.
I identify that way, but that I am not accepted by that group. That group, because they want that, you know.
But you've had romantic relationships. I mean, it's not like you haven't had a sex life.
Yeah, but I feel like it's mostly non-existent. Outside of
Yeah.
the 7 years I had a partner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you ebb and flow though, because I mean, when you're gay, people think, well, you're going to go through a hoe phase. When you're in your 20s and you've just figured out, oh, I do all this, you try some things. And what I've found is actually it's kind of been the opposite for me. I probably fooled around a decent amount in my 20s, but I'm just now getting around to having my first boyfriend, and I'm 44 years old.
Yeah, that's a big thing since the first
Yeah.
interview.
Yeah.
We said you never had a serious relationship.
And this wasn't even that serious. It was about 2 months.
True.
I can't. I won't try and liken that to
But like
a love for the
a
ages.
romantic relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, and it went down in a way that it was such a meet cute that I was like, I have to give this a chance because it's just, what are the odds? This is so weird. Like, it was just a dude that worked at the self-checkout. He came up to me and had a conversation, and that stuck with me, and I saw him on Grindr, and I said, hey. And so I was willing to ignore some red flags for a minute, hoping that I would, maybe I'd found a dude, a little fella that I was gonna, I don't know, like spend the next 30 years with. That number is dwindling, by the way. I don't know how much longer I got, but I mean, my parents were only married 27 years. And they've had my father passed away. So, shit.
It's a pretty long time.
Yeah, but you hear stories about all these people having their 50th wedding anniversary, 30, 40 years, and you're like, how does that even happen? We can't stand each other like that anymore. I do have a set of friends who've been together for 20 years plus, I think, at this point. So I'm happy for them, and I hope that shit better work out. I hope it do. It probably will. But it seems like that's almost a minority at this point to me.
Long marriages.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Long marriages. Like friendships, I think, are still lasting and whatnot, but it seems like there's a lot of people go in thinking it's going to be one way, and it ends up being completely the opposite of what they thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Marriage, raising kids. They thought, oh, I'm going to marry somebody and we're going to have sex all the time and we're going to just always be in love, and I don't think that you do. From what I have seen, and I've not observed that much, but of what I've seen, I'm like, yeah, y'all don't like each other that much. Or you care about each other, you're always going to be there for each other, but you might not like each other all the damn time.
Right.
That's kind of amazing to me that's a hell of a commitment to make, to say, and people will fail at it. There's a lot of people that say, you know what, I can't do this anymore now. I don't know what the statistics are on that, but it seems like maybe I'm just hearing it more. Now that I'm older, I'm like, yeah, that didn't make it, that didn't make it. Okay, they're still going. That definitely didn't make it. They're going to break up. Like, you've got that all around you. And then there you are, just kind of hanging out, petting the cat.
I I like the idea of a relationship that, like, if you're gonna get married, that you go into it not expecting things to always be good, uh, and that the, that hard things are not the not an end.
Yeah,
Even like if somebody cheats, I don't know. It depends. Like both people have to be. Well, you have to care. You could still care about each other and love each other, and
you have to be
you could still cheat on each other. And but as long as
well, it's not cheating if everybody's on the same page.
right. Well, yeah, that.
Yeah, but I mean, there are people who do end up cheating on each other and still stay together. That does still happen, but it doesn't. It doesn't have to be considered cheating if everybody's on the same damn page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Or you can, I mean, there was definitely I don't think open relationship was really a term 10 years ago, was it?
I'm sure it was.
Or it
I don't
was
think-
far more taboo 10 years ago than it is now to actually be doing it and being open about it, I think. 10 years ago.
Maybe.
Like, we knew it happened, but it was like more of a, I think they're doing something. You know that dude that lives with them? I think that's a throuple or something. You take a lot more pills now than you did 10 years ago, don't you?
I didn't. I don't recall ever feeling real healthy. I've had back pain like since high school.
I knew that.
I've had like bad back pain since college.
From what?
I don't know.
Like, what happened in high school? Did something happen in high school? Car accident? Or
Not particularly.
were you trying to be athletic in high school?
I tried a little bit. I did 2 years of tennis and 1 year of cross country. I guess my brother was always more athletic. He did 4 years of cross country. I'm fatter than I was 10 years ago. I've gained maybe about 70 pounds.
Seriously, 70?
I used to be a very skinny man, like 150. Now I'm like 215 right now.
I'm probably smaller than I was then. Now, I'm not significantly smaller. I think I was probably like 240, 250 then, and I'm probably like 225 now. So I walk more now than I did then. And I take a lot more medication and whatever for watch what I eat, all that shit. The thing I love about it is that I'm wearing clothes I haven't worn in a long time. But it also says, see, you didn't need to get rid of any of that stuff.
How about maybe we could talk about your family some.
Okay.
You have brothers.
Yes, I have two older brothers, and I think I told you last time that they're basically a decade older than me. One's 9 years older, the other one's almost 12 years older than me. I talk a lot more to my middle brother, and that was probably what I said last time, but we actually talk like once a week, now, which was not the case before. I think I went months and months without hearing from him. At this point, I've also lost a couple of. I lost an aunt and an uncle on my dad's side. And that prompted me to actually see my oldest brother for the first time in like a decade, probably, practically. Sooner than that, but we have not spent a lot of time around each other since both of our parents have died. And he straight up, like, we don't talk. Like, he just doesn't want to go out of his way. I think I'm supposed to beg him for his time or something, and so I've tried to call him, but I gave up. I just don't. I mean, he when I saw him at the funeral, he told me he would answer my calls. He has not answered my calls, and I'm now a great uncle. I've only met one of those kids. They just had a second, a little girl. And so it's just crazy, like, we're starting to become the older people in the family. There comes a point, like, where you're no longer, like, I wouldn't say I'm the patriarch of the matriarch or any of that kind of shit in the family. But there comes a point where all of a sudden you're the one that's supposed to be, like, the one that calls everybody. The one that actually tries to keep people in touch. And that's kind of what my brother Kevin's kind of fallen into. Yeah, it's weird. Like, the older you get, like, the less things from your childhood are around. Like, since the last time I had that interview with you, my family home is no longer a thing. It got torn down a couple of years ago, and I'm kicking myself because I hadn't seen it in a long time. And when I went there for my aunt's funeral the year before my uncle's funeral, I actually drove by it and did not recognize it because it was so overgrown with foliage that I didn't even recognize that I was like, wait, that's Ed's house, that's Ed and Velda's house growing up, and that's Roy and Nellie's house. This should be my house. This don't look right. And I actually walked up to the front, had to push my way through vines and overgrown branches and stuff to get to the front door that was covered in vines. And it was clear to me that we were the last family to live in that house. And I noticed and I'm kicking myself I didn't grab it, but there was a ceramic pot like on the stoop. And I looked at it and I immediately recognized it as something that my mother kind of cherished. Like, she always had it. It traveled around the house, had plants in it. I think was an umbrella stand for a minute. Well, it was all over the house. It had been taken by the city, like the land, and it just sat and rotted. Because, I mean, soon we're going to be these old assholes in nursing homes. And I would like to have some kids come see me that I might want to know. Who am I kidding? I'm not going to a nursing home. None of us are. We're all going to die at working at this point. The good news is I won't die at Target now.
So for me, I've had some big changes in my family in the last 10 years. My mom was a big thing. I don't even know, four-ish years ago, she fell at my brother's house and she broke her wrist. And then she was like not there mentally after that. And
how did she fall?
At his house, there was like a dining room and then like two steps that went down into like the living room.
Uh-huh.
So she
Missed it.
slipped on the step.
Okay.
Steps. And so then, like, for about 2 years, I guess we thought she had dementia. We thought she had Alzheimer's because her short-term memory was like terrible. But just like a couple weeks ago, maybe like a month ago, she had a surgery because she's had brain surgeries because she had a tumor, a brain tumor. So she like goes back to have that checked. So she went back to have her like yearly brain scan, and her doctor said she had like too much cerebral spinal fluid on her brain. So they did a surgery. They put a drain
Okay.
from her brain that drains like into her stomach, and she's a lot better now.
Really?
So it's like, I guess she didn't have dementia. So that's
Huh.
it was wild. It's a good thing, but it was crazy to think like one thing for like 2 years and then
Yeah.
that not be true.
Huh. Good for her though. That's kind of cool. See her kind of come back a little bit.
And my brother and his wife, and they just had a baby. So now my parents do have a grandchild. So I'm an uncle.
You know, Target's lost $12 billion. Billion. Just know people are more screwed up than they're willing to ever admit. And they'll go ahead and make up rules for themselves and say, well, I just shouldn't talk to this person anymore. Or I should take myself out of the situation. Or I can't do this with myself anymore. This is going to happen. You know, we just make all of these like policies for ourselves and don't ever just say, you know what, dude's my brother. Let's just talk. Let's just see where this goes.
I guess if you want to talk about drag, and then maybe we could talk some about how we feel about the future.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, I'm still doing drag. It's interesting to be doing drag right now because it's been demonized so much in the news from right-wing entities and whatnot. There's been a lot of legislation brought forth to different state governments about putting ordinances on when and where and who we can perform for. No drag story hours are happening because I think people are afraid to do them and get protested. And that's annoying because I like to read books to kids. I think it's kind of fun. And it's just a fun format to do it in because that's like a safe way for them to get to know a facet of the world that they wouldn't know otherwise, you know, like, or it's being, through all of this, mind you, we've had RuPaul's Drag Race going this entire time. That seems to be going completely strong. Nobody seems to be saying, oh, we need to cancel RuPaul's Drag Race. Nobody's doing that. It's on there's so many different iterations of it. It's in different countries. Good luck getting rid of that show at this point. But drag is still really a taboo yet mainstream subject. And it seems like if you do it, people, now because of the show, people think that there's a certain thing they should expect from you as a drag when you are performing, that you're always a certain way, or that you have to do things a certain way because of what they show on the show. And a lot of drag queens aren't necessarily that. Like, a lot of us are still, not many of us know how to sew. Not many of us know how to how to walk into a thrift store and say, okay, I'm just gonna take this and add this and this and this to it and get that lampshade and do a thing and voila. And a lot of them are not that creative. A lot of them will Amazon the shit out of their look and not necessarily come up with anything original, which makes me crazy. I'm also, like, still to this day, I am not a pageant queen. I've never given a fuck about having a title, which probably hurts my chances to do things in this, in showbiz. Like, I probably should have a little bit more of a competitive spirit about all this. But I'm kind of Miss Congeniality. I'm like, you want to try something? Shit, come on. The crowd will let you know if you're any good. If they like you, shit, they'll let you know. If they don't, well, you need to rethink about it. But I still feel good about doing drag. I still feel good about being a voice for the community in some ways. Putting myself out there when a lot of people still feel like they can't. They're still hiding themselves. I've still met farmers and people on Grindr that don't show their faces and don't want you to ever know where they fit in this community. Like, they're real vague about, they don't want you to know. And sure, privacy is one thing, but also you shouldn't have to be afraid to express yourself and to try things, and you shouldn't be shunned for that or immediately pigeonholed into oh yeah, you've done this, therefore you're all this now. That's all you can ever be because you've done this once, or you've tried something once, or it's ridiculous to me. And drag can feel like that, where somebody tries to perform and then they either feel a lot of shame because it didn't go as well as they thought it would initially. That seems like people ask me all the time if they have what it takes to be a drag queen, or if they like to learn how to do drag and they want me to be their drag mother. And it seems like every single time I've had a drag child, they have kind of just been the orchestrators of their own demise. Like, they've aborted themselves. Like, they won't go for it. They won't go ahead and go buy a dress or show me a number that they want to do, a song that they want to do. And they get so up in their heads about what it's going to be that they can't ever just be. And that's kind of like where I am at this point. Like, I've tried to do solo kinds of shows where I'm just doing songs and talking about what I want to talk about and all that. And that doesn't take off. I haven't figured out the right format. But I try to do like what I like to do still. Not just the top 40 songs, not just like the last drag show I did, I felt like everybody had the same kind of jumpsuit on. Different colors, slightly different, variations on it, different cuts, but it was all basically chaps. And I was like, so, because I don't have one of those, I bet everyone's looking at me like, what? What is this drag queen doing? Is this even a drag queen? Like, I don't do my makeup the same still to this day as anyone else does. So maybe that sets me aside. I don't know. But I mean, I've had a friend of mine actually did paint my face in Denver, and it was a really good face. I felt really good about it. It was a nice upgrade. It felt good. I felt like everything was really finished. And took a different tone than what I usually do. A little bit more, not new age, I wouldn't call it that, but it felt a little bit more futuristic. A little bit for me. and it it's needed. You need to try things and get out of your comfort zone a little bit, and that's where all of our issues are, because it's out of our comfort zone. We're freaking out, and we don't just try it. Like, I'm really surprised, actually. Weird segue from drag to this, but I thought it was really cool that you told me about your the dance class you were taking, the Latin dance class. Tell me about it. How did that feel for you to do something like that, like a partnering kind of class?
So the class, going to the class, is pretty. I'm pretty comfortable with it because it's all structured. You know, I'm comfortable following directions.
Okay.
And so they tell you the steps, and then you practice those steps, and that's fine. But then there'll be like an hour of class, and then they do an hour of social dancing after the class, and I never stayed for that. So I'm afraid of free dancing.
Yeah. How did that work for, like, was it still supposed to be in the Latin dance style? Like,
Yeah, like practice what we learned.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you need to do that.
yeah.
Because you dance is a lot about attitude, too. So that's the part you're missing. Like, yeah, you can move, you can follow directions, but now that's the next bit of it, is the putting some ridiculousness in it. Like, it has to, like drag, you have to have a willingness to make a fool of yourself to dance. Because a lot of guys don't dance. A lot of people don't dance. And a lot of people think that because they don't look a certain way, or because they're not strongly coordinated or something, that they can't dance. And the thing is, we all do dance. We just never thought about it as dancing. Like, it's true. Like, there's all kinds of movements that you do that you're like, you've bopped to a song and didn't realize you were really getting into it or whatever, and you're dancing. You really are. You just didn't know. And that's the part that being open enough to do that kind of gets, I think, you over. That's the thing you need to get the hump over, I think, for you.
I think I will always struggle with being freely expressing myself in any kind of a social situation or a performative situation. Like, it's been a part of my personality my whole life. You know, my whole life I've always been called quiet. And that's like people call that out about me, like, immediately. Like, if I start a new job, you know, it's be like, within the first day, somebody will say, like, do you ever talk? Like, and it's frustrating. It's a thing my mom and I share. You know, she's like the same way, and she relates to that, and we've always we consider it like an insult.
Really?
That people call us quiet. Like, it depends on who is saying it and how they're saying it.
Yeah.
But it usually feels like they're picking on us. You know? So, I don't know. Being quiet is a struggle. That's a struggle. Because it usually feels like people see it as a negative quality, like a weakness.
Yeah, people will pull that shit on you. They'll definitely try to be like, well, you're supposed to be outgoing, you're supposed to be all these things, but it takes all kinds.
Yeah.
And people don't take the time to learn about anybody. That's what's really annoying. Like, and the fact that you like to do this, like have one-on-one conversations like this, that shows me that you want to know what's going on. Like you have empathy in some ways. You want to.
I do. I want to understand how other people work, and like a part of me wants to be able to use that to improve myself. Like how does like I don't understand how people can be so confident on stage, like when you're doing drag.
Yeah.
And I'd like to be able to do that. So it's like maybe if I talk to you about it, I'll figure it out. But it doesn't really work that way, I don't think. I mean,
I get that. I have, and just because I'm fun on stage doesn't mean I want to do that like in my life all the time. Does that make sense? Like, yeah, I'm outgoing in that persona and that character, and I would say also that Tai Wu is still like, it's an extension of myself. It's not like a completely different character, but it, like, I don't necessarily bring Tai Wu back to Tyler. Like, I think Tyler goes to Tai Wu, but Tai Wu doesn't go back to Tyler all the time. Like, I don't feel, like, especially these days, I haven't felt necessarily like Tai Wu was all over what I do. Like, I feel like I have to be smaller space. Like, working at Target, I always wore a necklace. I couldn't just wear a t-shirt and jeans. Like, I felt like I had to have a lot of different options. I still wore t-shirts, but they were fun t-shirts. Had fun prints on them, and I feel like that's something that I did for myself to, like, try to get the monotony, to break up the monotony. Mm-hmm. That I would somehow have that bit of myself in that job. And so, and when I worked at the theater, I thought, I need to be myself, otherwise what's the point of me being here if they don't want me to be a cookie cutter. That's what I was telling myself. They don't want me to be a cookie cutter. They don't want me to be like everybody else. I'm the artistic director. I'm the only bitch in the room who has this title. I have to be able to steer an entire organization. That's what I thought was on my plate, and I still think that's what I wanted to do. I just think we did not have the same values, and that's where it fell apart. But those experiences, putting yourself out there is hard. It's just hard, no matter whether you're really an extroverted. Like, I can do well in front of people, but there's still a lot of things I'm afraid of doing. Like, I don't like necessarily public speaking. I hate doing like curtain speeches, that kind of stuff. I've had to do them, and I've gotten more comfortable at them, but I don't really like doing them. I feel like an asshole. I would rather just be in the shadows watching the show go down and see how people react to what we've shaped as a director. Or it's kind of fun to be a performer and see how people are reacting to what I'm doing. But it just, that whole attitude of getting out into something that you're just not, it's not your comfort zone at all. That shit's scary. And even when you get like a muscle at it and you start to, yes, I can get up and do a monologue. Yes, I can get up and do those things, but still learning how to read a room, learning how to know you have one job to do, but you also have the job of just emoting. Just getting a feeling out into the room as opposed to reading the lines. Adding all of those layers, everything has layers. Just because you learned how to dance doesn't mean you dance.
So, I'm not sure how long this will last before it says it's full again. So, how about future? Like if we do another follow-up in
10 years,
5
years,
10 years, where do you see your future? But also maybe the future of the country.
Oh God. If shit continues to go south, I hope I have the resources to get the hell out of here. Honestly, at this
like
point.
Leave the country?
Yeah. Like, I didn't know it would get this scarily close to Handmaid's Tale as it has. Like, walking back rights is really scary. And I saw a meme earlier today that just said, you know, if your rights have never come up in front of the Supreme Court, you have privilege.
Yeah.
And my rights have been in front of the Supreme Court more than once. The right to marry somebody as a man, the right to marry somebody as a person of color, that somebody is a different race or color. My ability to have children, adoption, my abilities to even be a performer in the drag world. Like, it seems like everything that I am is kind of under attack right now. And I don't know why people don't get why that would be incredibly, like, triggering is not the word. Like, it's just, it's igniting to somebody like me to think, so anytime now someone's going to knock on my door and try and... I've had that thought of, is when is this coming for me?
Have you ever wanted to have kids?
Yeah. As in, like, I always thought if I was going to have kids, it would be like, I just happened to be dating someone who also already had kids. And I just ended up being the fun step parent. Like, that'd be fun to me. I don't think I would ever, like, try to have a surrogate and try to have my own biologically tied children to myself. But I do like the idea of raising a kid when nobody's in the right mindset to do that, I don't think. But you know, when I feel like it's the right time for me to have a kid, I think I'll have a kid. How about you? Do you want a kid? I hope that didn't sound like I was reading you. You want a kid?
Not particularly. I don't.
And that's okay.
No. I think my mind would only change if my finances were very different. And I thought, like, I could afford children.
Yeah.
If you were to leave the country, where would you go?
Probably England.
That makes sense.
I'd head probably England, or I don't know that I'd do well in Australia, or it would be an English-speaking country because I'm lazy.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But
But if if I really, you know, got my shit together and decided I wanted to really just fuck it, you know what, we're done here. Let's have a whole new language as well. Maybe I don't think I'd do well in Africa. I'm gonna say it. I don't think I would. I would like to visit Africa, but I don't think I would do well in Africa.
Well, some countries there speak English.
And I have heard now that there was some country that was offering like a, hey, American black people, you can come back to us. You can be one of ours. And I'm like, that sounds, I don't know how that would go down. How, that'd be a shitty little environment to live in. I feel like it'd be like, I'll get in trouble if I say anything. But I feel like it would be really funny to be in an African town, but it was made up of nothing but American black folks. I feel like there's a really funny sitcom in all of that. Just saying.
I do something I've thought about before is like, wherever you're at, wherever anybody's at, that you're, if you're from a place, then most of the other people in that place are kind of like you.
Yeah.
So you don't have like the most unique abilities for that place. So I thought about like, if you did move somewhere else, you know, maybe your abilities would be like way more valued. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, the argument for that is Tina Turner. Because at one point Tina Turner said, I'm more famous and more of a rock star in Europe than I am in America.